And every experience becomes a teacher, if only we choose to learn. To educate yourself every day means to open your heart and mind to the endless lessons that life offers, lessons that cannot be found in any book or lecture hall. Muniba often reminds her audience that the world is an open university, and each person we meet is a potential teacher. Sometimes, a kind stranger teaches us empathy, a difficult colleague teaches us patience, a personal failure teaches us resilience. Every interaction leaves behind a lesson, but it is up to us to extract wisdom from it. Learning is not about memorizing facts. It's about gaining insight, understanding perspectives, and evolving as a human being. She encourages everyone to make curiosity a habit, to ask questions, explore new ideas, and challenge their own beliefs. It is through curiosity that innovation, creativity, and self-awareness are born. For Muniba, self-education is also about unlearning. As we grow older, we are conditioned by society's expectations, fears, and limitations. Educating yourself means unlearning the lies that hold you back, that you are not enough, that failure is shameful, or that dreams have an expiry date. It means freeing your mind from outdated notions and allowing new thoughts to take root. True education, in her view, expands your consciousness. It doesn't restrict it. It makes you humble enough to admit how much you still don't know, and yet strong enough to keep learning. She also highlights that educating yourself every day isn't limited to reading books or attending courses. It is about awareness, learning to understand your emotions, your reactions, and your surroundings. It's about emotional intelligence, knowing when to speak, when to listen, when to let go, and when to stand firm. Every day brings lessons in self-control, gratitude, and compassion. The key is mindfulness, being present enough to recognize those lessons as they unfold in your daily life. Muniba shares that one of the most powerful ways to educate yourself is to embrace diversity. Expose yourself to different cultures, opinions, and ways of life. Listen to people whose experiences differ from yours. The more you understand others, the more you grow as a person. She believes that education is not just about personal progress, but also about empathy and connection. Understanding the human experience in all its beauty and struggle. Educating yourself every day also means investing in your growth. Reading something new, practicing a skill, reflecting on your day, or simply learning from your mistakes. Every sunrise offers a fresh opportunity to become wiser, more patient, and more compassionate than you were yesterday. Learning never ends because life never stops teaching. The only real failure, she says, is refusing to learn. Embrace failure as a teacher. Muniba Mazari strongly believes that failure is not the opposite of success. It is an essential part of it. In her words, failure is life's greatest and most honest teacher. While success can often make us proud or complacent, failure humbles us and forces us to reflect, rebuild, and rediscover who we truly are. She shares from her own journey that every setback carries a hidden blessing, a lesson that shapes our character and prepares us for the future. When we fail, it is not the end of the road. It is simply life redirecting us towards something better. Muniba often reminds her audience that the problem is not failure itself, but how we perceive it. Society tends to glorify success and shame failure, but she encourages everyone to shift that mindset. When you start viewing failure as feedback rather than defeat, it transforms from a source of pain into a source of growth. Each failure tells you something: what didn't work, what needs improvement, and what strengths you must develop. The moment you stop fearing failure, you open yourself up to possibilities, experiments, and real growth. Through her own experiences, Muniba has shown that even the darkest moments can be opportunities to learn. After her accident, which left her wheelchair bound, she could have given up on life completely. Instead, she chose to learn from her pain, to understand resilience, gratitude, and acceptance in their deepest forms. She turned her tragedy into transformation by asking herself not, "Why me?" but, "What is this trying to teach me?" That simple question changed her entire perspective on life. She realized that failure is never final. It's only a pause that allows you to gather strength before you rise again. Muniba also highlights that failure teaches humility. When we experience setbacks, we learn that we are human, vulnerable, imperfect, and constantly evolving. This humility allows us to connect better with others, to appreciate their struggles, and to support them with kindness. Failure strips away arrogance and replaces it with empathy. It shows us that no one succeeds alone, and that every success story has chapters filled with mistakes, disappointments, and restarts. Moreover, failure builds resilience, the inner strength to keep moving forward no matter how hard life gets. It teaches you to stand tall even when everything around you seems to fall apart. When you fail and rise again, you gain a kind of confidence that success alone can never give. You learn to trust yourself, to believe in your ability to adapt, and to know that no storm lasts forever. Muniba's message is simple yet powerful. Do not let failure define you, let it refine you. Every failure adds to your wisdom, your depth, and your humanity. The lessons learned in moments of defeat are the very tools that guide you toward your greatest victories. Instead of running from your failures, embrace them, learn from them, and allow them to shape you into the person you were meant to become. Stay positive in adversity. Muniba Mazari's life itself is a living example of what it means to stay positive in adversity. After the tragic car accident that left her paralyzed from the waist down, she could have chosen despair, anger, or bitterness. Yet she decided to choose hope. Her message to the world is simple but profound. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond to it. Staying positive in adversity is not about ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine. It's about facing life's toughest battles with courage, grace, and gratitude. Muniba often says that positivity is not an emotion, it is a decision. Every day when you wake up, you have two choices: to dwell on what you've lost or to focus on what you still have. Life will always present challenges: loss, failure, disappointment, heartbreak. But what defines your strength is how you rise above them. For her, positivity is not naive optimism. It's the conscious act of finding light even in the darkest corners. It's about recognizing that hardships are not punishments, but opportunities to grow, evolve, and discover hidden strength. In her speeches, Muniba explains that adversity has a way of revealing who you truly are. It strips away superficial layers and forces you to meet your real self, the one who is capable of surviving, adapting, and thriving even when life seems unfair. She shares that after her accident, she discovered parts of herself she never knew existed: her resilience, her compassion, her creativity. Pain became her teacher, and hope became her anchor. She began to understand that positivity is not about denying reality, but about choosing a mindset that empowers rather than destroys. Muniba also stresses the importance of gratitude during difficult times. She believes that when you start counting your blessings, even in pain, your perspective changes. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you lack to what you have. It gives you peace and helps you attract more positive energy into your life. She often reminds people that there is always something to be thankful for: the breath in your lungs, the people who care for you, the lessons hidden in your struggles. Gratitude transforms adversity into appreciation and pain into purpose. Another vital aspect of staying positive, according to Muniba, is surrounding yourself with the right people. In moments of hardship, negativity can spread easily. That's why she advises choosing company that uplifts, encourages, and believes in you. Energy is contagious. Being around optimistic and compassionate people can remind you that brighter days are ahead. Lastly, she highlights that true positivity comes from acceptance, accepting your circumstances, your pain, and your past without resistance. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means making peace with what is so you can focus on what can be. Once you stop fighting against reality, you free yourself to find new paths forward. Staying positive in adversity, therefore, is not just about smiling through pain. It's about transforming that pain into power, hope, and a renewed purpose for living. Believe in yourself. Muniba Mazari often says that the most powerful belief you can ever have is belief in yourself. When you believe in your own worth, your abilities, and your purpose, no amount of criticism or failure can shake your foundation. Self-belief is the root from which confidence, courage, and creativity grow. Without it, even the greatest opportunities go unnoticed. With it, even the hardest challenges become stepping stones towards success. Believing in yourself means trusting that you are enough, that you have everything within you to rise, rebuild, and thrive, no matter how many times life knocks you down. Muniba shares that after her accident, when the world around her began to doubt her potential, she made a promise to herself. She would not let others define her limits. Doctors told her she might never paint again, never walk, never live a normal life. But she chose not to accept those limitations. Instead, she believed in her spirit, in the voice inside her that said, "You still have a purpose." That unshakable belief became her strength. It taught her that your life changes the moment you start believing that you can. Believing in yourself, Muniba explains, is not arrogance or pride, it's self-respect. It's understanding that your value does not decrease because someone fails to see your worth. Too often, people wait for validation from others, approval from society, praise from peers, recognition from family, but true confidence comes from within. When you stop seeking permission to be yourself, you become unstoppable. You begin to create your own path instead of waiting for one to appear. She also emphasizes that self-belief grows stronger through action. The more you challenge your fears and step outside your comfort zone, the more you prove to yourself what you're capable of. Every small victory, every risk taken, every mistake learned from becomes evidence that you are capable, resilient, and worthy. Self-belief isn't something you're born with. It's something you build day by day, decision by decision. Muniba encourages people to silence their inner critic, that voice that says, "You can't, you're not enough, or you'll fail." She reminds us that those thoughts are not facts, they are fears, and fears only have power if you listen to them. Instead, she advises feeding your mind with positivity, affirmations, and faith. When you replace self-doubt with self-trust, your entire world begins to change. You start to see opportunities where others see obstacles. Another lesson Muniba often shares is that believing in yourself also means accepting your flaws. Perfection is not the goal, authenticity is. Your scars, mistakes, and failures are part of your story. They make you human, relatable, and strong. Confidence is not pretending to be perfect. It's embracing who you are, completely and unapologetically. To believe in yourself is to give yourself permission to dream, to fail, to learn, and to rise again. It's to know that no matter how tough life becomes, your inner light can never be extinguished. It can only grow brighter with every challenge you overcome. Use your pain as power. Muniba Mazari's life is a living testament to the power of turning pain into purpose. She believes that pain, no matter how devastating, can be transformed into the driving force that shapes your destiny. Pain, she says, is inevitable. Every person faces it in one form or another. But what defines your strength is not the pain itself, but how you respond to it. You can allow pain to break you, or you can choose to let it build you. When you use your pain as power, you transform your suffering into strength, your wounds into wisdom, and your struggles into stories that inspire others. Muniba often shares her own experience as an example of this truth. After her tragic car accident that left her paralyzed, she went through immense physical and emotional pain. Everything she once took for granted, walking, painting freely, living independently, was suddenly taken away. For months, she was broken, lost, and hopeless. But one day, she decided to stop asking, "Why me?" and started asking, "What can I learn from this?" That shift in mindset changed her life forever. Instead of seeing her wheelchair as a symbol of limitation, she began to see it as a symbol of strength, a reminder of survival, of courage, and of rebirth. Muniba's message is clear: pain can either destroy you or define you. It is not meant to punish you, but to prepare you. Pain teaches resilience, patience, and empathy. It opens your eyes to the struggles of others and helps you understand the depth of human emotion. When you've walked through darkness and still find the courage to smile, you become a beacon of hope for those who are lost in their own pain. She says that her greatest purpose emerged from her deepest wounds, because it was through her suffering that she discovered her voice, her art, and her calling to inspire others. She also emphasizes that using your pain as power requires acceptance. You cannot heal what you refuse to face. Pretending that pain doesn't exist only makes it grow stronger inside you. Healing begins when you acknowledge your hurt, allow yourself to feel it, and then slowly turn it into motivation. The scars you carry, both visible and invisible, are not signs of weakness. They are proof that you survived. They are the chapters of your story that show your endurance and transformation. Another key part of this message is self-expression. Muniba believes that one of the most powerful ways to channel pain is through creativity. Painting, writing, speaking, or any form of art that allows your emotions to breathe. When you express your pain, you give it meaning, and when you give it meaning, it no longer controls you. Art became her therapy, her outlet, and her way of spreading hope to others who were struggling. Finally, Muniba reminds us that when you turn your pain into power, you not only heal yourself, but also help heal others. Your story becomes someone else's survival guide. The strength you gain becomes a light for those walking through darkness. Pain, in its truest form, is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. Shaping you into the person you were always meant to become. Be kind and compassionate. Muniba Mazari emphasizes that kindness and compassion are the most powerful forms of education a person can ever receive or offer. She believes that intelligence, success, or talent have little meaning if they are not accompanied by empathy. In a world that often celebrates competition, individualism, and achievement, Muniba reminds us that humanity's greatest strength lies in its ability to care, to understand, and to connect. Being kind is not a weakness. It is a conscious choice, a strength that heals others and brings peace to your own soul. Compassion, she says, is not just about feeling sorry for someone. It is about feeling with them, about understanding their pain and doing something, however small, to ease it. For Muniba, kindness begins with self-compassion. You cannot truly care for others if you are constantly cruel to yourself. Many people carry wounds from failure, rejection, or self-doubt, and they often let those wounds harden their hearts. But she teaches that healing starts when you speak to yourself with the same gentleness you offer to others. Being kind to yourself means accepting your flaws, forgiving your mistakes, and allowing yourself to grow without judgment. When you nurture your own heart, you naturally radiate kindness outward, to family, friends, strangers, and even those who have wronged you. Muniba often shares that every person you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. A smile, a kind word, or a small act of care can change someone's entire day, or even their life. Kindness doesn't need to be grand or public. It can be silent, subtle, and sincere. Listening to someone who feels unheard, offering encouragement to someone who feels invisible, or simply showing patience when it's easier to be angry. These are all forms of compassion. They are small gestures that create ripples of hope in a world where many are silently suffering. She also believes that compassion is a bridge that connects human hearts beyond differences of race, religion, or status. In her speeches, Muniba often highlights that we live in a time where people are more connected than ever through technology, yet emotionally more distant. Compassion is what brings back that lost connection. It teaches us to see others not through the lens of judgment, but through the lens of humanity. When you are compassionate, you stop asking, "What can I get?" and start asking, "How can I give?" You begin to realize that true happiness comes not from what you own, but from what you share. Muniba's life itself reflects this message of selfless kindness. Despite her physical challenges, she continues to dedicate her life to inspiring and uplifting others. Her advocacy for inclusion, empowerment, and acceptance comes from a deep understanding of human pain. She has felt broken, yet she chooses to heal others. She has known isolation, yet she chooses connection. Her compassion is not theoretical, it is lived. She also explains that kindness is contagious. When you act kindly, you inspire others to do the same. One good deed can create a chain reaction that travels further than you will ever know. Compassion multiplies. It spreads silently, softening hearts and reminding people that goodness still exists. True kindness requires courage because it means being gentle in a world that can be harsh, forgiving in a world that holds grudges, and understanding in a world that often misunderstands. To be kind and compassionate, Muniba says, is to live with awareness, to see beyond your own world and recognize the shared humanity in others. It means offering love without expecting anything in return and choosing empathy even when it's not easy. Kindness is a universal language that every heart understands, a force that can heal divisions, mend broken spirits, and remind us that despite all our differences, we are all connected by the same desire to be seen, loved, and understood. Live with purpose. Muniba Mazari's final and most powerful message is to live with purpose. She believes that every human being is born with a reason, a divine calling that gives meaning to life. To live with purpose is to rise each day knowing that your existence matters, that your struggles are not wasted, and that your story has the power to inspire others. Muniba often says, "We are not here merely to survive, we are here to make a difference." Life is not about how long you live, but how well you live, how deeply you touch others, how sincerely you give, and how bravely you rise after every fall. For Muniba, living with purpose begins with self-discovery. You cannot live meaningfully if you do not know who you are and what you stand for. She encourages people to spend time in reflection, to understand their strengths, values, and passions. Purpose is not something you find in a book or a career. It comes from within. It's that inner voice that tells you to keep going even when the world says stop. It's the quiet conviction that your life, no matter how ordinary it may seem, holds extraordinary potential to create change, even if it's just in one person's heart. Muniba often shares that her purpose revealed itself through pain. When her accident changed her life forever, she questioned her existence. But as she healed, she realized that her survival carried meaning, that her story could inspire others to find hope in despair. From that moment, she made a promise to herself, to live not just for herself, but for everyone who felt broken, forgotten, or afraid to dream again. Her art, her speeches, and her advocacy all stem from this purpose: to empower, uplift, and remind people that beauty exists in imperfection and strength exists in struggle. She also highlights that living with purpose doesn't always mean doing something grand or public. Purpose can be found in small acts: raising a kind child, helping a neighbor, caring for your parents, or simply spreading positivity where negativity exists. Purpose is not measured by fame or wealth, but by the impact you leave on others. You live with purpose when your presence makes life a little brighter for someone else. Muniba teaches that when you live with purpose, you stop chasing temporary happiness and start creating lasting fulfillment. Your focus shifts from "what do I want" to "what can I contribute?" You realize that every day is a new chance to serve, to grow, and to give meaning to your journey. Even in silence, even in pain, your life can be a message of hope. She reminds us that purpose gives strength in weakness, direction in confusion, and light in darkness. It transforms ordinary days into meaningful moments and turns setbacks into stepping stones. With purpose, you no longer just exist, you truly live. Muniba Mazari's 7 keynotes. Educate yourself every day, embrace failure as a teacher, stay positive in adversity, believe in yourself, use your pain as power, be kind and compassionate, and live with purpose. Form a timeless philosophy for a meaningful life. Through her words and her journey, she teaches that education never ends. Failure refines us, positivity heals us, self-belief empowers us, pain strengthens us, kindness connects us, and purpose fulfills us. Her life stands as proof that no matter what happens to you, you always have the power to choose what happens within you. In every challenge lies a lesson, in every fall lies a rise, and in every heart lies the ability to change the world, not by perfection, but through courage, compassion, and purpose. Muniba Mazari's voice echoes a universal truth: your life is your message. Make it one worth sharing.